dear to my heart, which is the growing danger of coronavirus in the prison where President Taylor is being kept. I understand we have it on good authority and we demand an explanation from the British government as to the status of former President Charles Kange Taylor. I would also remind the Special Court for Sierra Leone that it is not above the law. The Special Court for Sierra Leone was created as a hybrid institution, not fully accountable to the United Nations. This was a dubious act by the then sponsors of that institution with geopolitical interest. Tony Blair, now former President George Bush, and former Prime Minister Tony Blair, they pushed at the United Nations to give that court a specialized status. However, it will be inferior to European law and to the European Special Court for Human Rights in Strasbourg. I and the Taylor family will launch a legal assault on the continuous detention of former Liberian President Charles Taylor in Great Britain, a country that is under massive threat from coronavirus 19. Although COVID-19 is across the world, but African countries have a scientifically proven low level of infection. This is one thing that is an objective reality that even the WHO will concede to. Coronavirus transmission and prevalence is lower in African countries. Charles Taylor should be moved to an African country because scientifically we can prove that we in Africa have not been as heavily hit as Britain. Britain is currently under a national lockdown. I have a son attending school in Britain, and so I follow the situation very closely. I have friends in British politics. And there is no way the Special Court for Sierra Leone can guarantee Charles Taylor's right to life where he is imprisoned in a congested situation where 3 inmates have been infected with coronavirus. We are demanding an immediate transfer of Taylor in the first instance. And if the Special Court for Sierra Leone, this is the United Nations. The United Nations was brought about by charters with universal human rights that said that all persons, didn't say persons you like and persons you dislike, all persons are entitled under international law to life, to certain level of treatment, to good health while in prison. The health and welfare of a prisoner is the duty of the person that's holding, person or institution that's holding him prisoner. The Special Court for Sierra Leone, which is now administered by something called Residual Special Court, that's the current corporate structure. The United Nations will have blood on its hands, and the Sierra Leonean government will have the blood of a former Liberian president on its head, on their heads. Something that could set the basis for regional tension. Let me remind you of West African history. In the 90s, America and Great Britain financed wars in West Africa and used different West African countries to foster war. So Sierra Leoneans also fostered war in Liberia. Guineans did the same. Only Charles Taylor has been singled out in this kangaroo court that the African Union has pronounced that the International Criminal Court and the puppet Special Court for Sierra Leone, that's a fake Sierra Leonean court, is not even brought about by Sierra Leoneans, but by foreigners who were anti-Taylor and was trying to carry out regime change in Liberia. For Taylor's local enemies, they can ignore this and play all sort of puppeteering politics with it. But we are concerned about the health of the Liberian leader, and we will be launching a legal offensive around it. Continuing on the Taylor issue, as my popularity swells in the county because of my far-sighted quest to seek the release of Taylor, jealous Bone County politicians, especially Melvin Cole, and now discredited and disgraced former senator, I'm calling him former Senator Henry Yala, and his poorly trained propagandists have been roaming the corridor of Bon County, intentionally and wickedly lying to the people that Taylor can never be released. Under the law, there are 3 ways all prisoners imprisoned by the special court, they have 3 ways to get out of prison. Number 1, pardon. Number 2, early release. Number 3, serving their sentences. Why would you come and criminally lie that people imprisoned by the special court for Sierra Leone cannot be released, when I can prove on the books? I have the statute establishing the special court for Sierra Leone. There are clear paths out of prison. The president of the special court for Sierra Leone can pardon Charles Taylor tomorrow morning. They can commute his sentence. They can say the 17 years is equivalent to 50 years. They commute the sentence. If any educated person, George Morba, claims to be attending the law school, he needs to go and read the statute. What level of monumental ignorance parading around Bon County? I have a lot of respect for the people of Jokale for voting out such a loser. This man sits on the radio and tells people it is impossible for Taylor to be released. Absolute garbage. We are here. If Mervyn Cole is not enlightened, I will enlighten him. He needs to go and read the statute. There's a statute setting up that court. In that statute, it says people imprisoned by the court, if they are eligible, Taylor will become eligible for early release in some 5 or 6 years, early release. But we can also push for commutation. He needs to go and define commutation. A judge can rule that although he's supposed to in actual term stay there 25 or 27 years before he qualifies, in the interest of justice, which we are going to make that case for the commutation of his sentence, you have to understand that the story told to the global community to finance the court is that the court was being established to serve as a deterrent and to foster peace. We are making the argument that in order to avoid future tensions between Liberia and Sierra Leone, where Liberians will blame Sierra Leoneans for imprisoning a popular Liberian leader, and I will show to you that Charles Taylor is the most popular Liberian with my overwhelming victory in the December 8th election. I will win a landslide in Bon County and demonstrate that the Taylor constituency is the largest constituency, thereby underlining the future threat of clashes between Liberia and Sierra Leone over the malhandling of Charles Taylor. ECOWAS also needs to remember that a peacemaker cannot be a liar. Charles Taylor was told that if you resign, no harm will come to you, you will be protected. Sierra Leone is a member of ECOWAS. So how can you tell me it is not the Liberian situation that led Taylor into jail? Charles Taylor working with the RUF was a security strategy to protect Liberia. It's an extension of the Liberian War. So who will ever trust ECOWAS again? We are living in a time where West African nations are shaking. How will you make peace in Ivory Coast? How do you persuade Alassane Dramane Ouattara to step aside? He will always point to the Taylor situation. And so the release of Charles Taylor will restore the dignity of ECOWAS. It will give them word. It will give them an instrument to use. Charles Taylor himself, an experienced political leader who has seen it all, could be a valuable asset for advancing peace and negotiating political settlements in the region. Right now, I hear former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was rebuffed in Ethiopia. She was supposed to lead talks between Ethiopian factions. Liberia can offer more. We can offer Charles Taylor, who will be able to talk to belligerent forces and help become an asset to foster peace. And so a person like that will support us in all parts of Africa. People know Taylor, they admire him for a strong pan-African stance. We all know Taylor left from here because he refused certain international companies' rights to exploit our resources. Go and look at the profile of the president of the Special Court of Sierra Leone. He used to work for a diamond company. Go and do your research. A diamond business. And so the Charles Taylor issue is a real campaign we're pushing. That is why even before I'm elected, I'm already following up on issues to do with his well-being. And I'm saying to you that we will be launching illegal offenses to sue the Special Court for Sierra Leone sued them at the European Court of Justice and Human Rights because child stealer is located in Europe. And that regional court will look at the agreement between Britain and the Sierra Leonean government and say to us that these two institutions have the right to violate child stealers' human rights. He's in a place where a disease is spreading, but for the imprisonment in Britain, child stealer would escape. He would escape coronavirus infection because his age, someone in their 70s, these are the people that coronavirus is targeting. Prison is also a congested environment by necessity. And so, even before we get to the argument around commutation of sentence and absolute release, we need to move him into safety consistent with the rules governing how prisoners are to be kept. They are supposed to be kept in an area that's safe. Britain is no longer safe. So we need Taylor brought back to Africa. And I wanted to update the press on that. And also deal with the issue around how do you free Taylor. I challenge anybody that knows both in Bond County to debate the issue with me and to come along with a copy of the statute. There are 3 ways prisoners can be released. They can be pardoned. We can get a pardon. We can get commutation. And several other things can occur. Mind you, nobody has challenged the status of the Special Court of Sierra Leone. It has a very strange legal structure. It is not under the regular UN tribunals. I read a UN report yesterday that was questioning the validity of that structure. We will collaborate with people in the United Nations who are also concerned about this Special Court of Sierra Leone sitting outside of the regular international judicial structure. And so we'll launch all sorts of offenses. First one being to make sure Mr. Taylor is taken out of harm's way. Other issues. We are throwing an open invitation to the former Senator Henry Yala to account for his stewardship in a debate. The reason I'm singling out Henry Yala is because his mouthpiece, the discredited, distracted, and disjointed representative of District Number 3 that has failed mercilessly, has been running around attacking us. So we want to take him head on. But if Henry Yala is too weak, he and Marvin Cole can debate me. I'll be available. This is ahead of the LMDI debate. I want to debate the two of them in a studio. Any radio station. We can have an open debate on the Taylor question, on the question of development of Bond County. They have money here to deal with people before the community college is not complete. You've not even done your work. The work you're supposed to do, the basic work of representation. When you listen to Marvin Cole in Monrovia, you feel sorry for him. He sits over there, puts his hand between his legs, where others are really pushing for their constituencies. One current we've been waiting for to move from Lima to come to Banga City. The capital city of this important county is still without proper electricity. Our people don't have electricity in their homes. Then a shameless deputy speaker speaking about a solar lamp. That solar lamp, is that his development quest? Small counties like Maryland have actual electricity over their people. We don't want street lights, we want home lights. We want lights in our homes. This is a massive failure. To whom much is given, much is required. The leadership of this county has not been fair to the people of this county. Normally, I stay above the fray. I don't get involved in the squabbles. But I have a duty to hold Yala to account. He is the office holder. Moe is a noisemaker. Noisemaker listening. You don't hear anything. There's no message. He pretends as if everybody here is living from his pocket. He has developed this place. I've been to District Number 2. It is a place of complaints. Everybody is complaining. They're complaining about roads. They're complaining about lack of opportunities. It is as if no leader from Bond County is from there. And so I want to debate Yala because I can't waste my time debating debating a deputy speaker that has delivered absolutely nothing to this county, has not used his position to advance this county. What he has done is pick up $1 million United States dollars every year and enrich himself and give people solar lamp. People gave you 9 years of leadership at the very top level of this country, and all you can deliver is solar lamp. How tragic. So gentlemen, that's it. Wanted to announce our legal offensive to try and protect the life of our former President Charles Kange Taylor. I wanted to respond to the dangerous lies being put out there that once you are put in jail by the International Criminal Court, you are there forever. That is a lie. That is a court. It's not a grave. The only grave you can go in and never come back. Then, of course, I wanted to push back at the weak propaganda coming from the former Senator Yala, and not even George Weah can save him. The place where George Weah can lift up people's hand and win election, Monserrado, it has stopped. Then at Bonkante, who knows George Weah here? His stranger mother here is our own man, Joel Howard Taylor. I hope when he comes in, she will be in front of him. Because when he comes on your own, we don't recognize him. He's the president of Liberia, but he has no say in our county politics. That Yala is so unpopular in Bon County that he needs a crewman to talk to fellow people for him. It's a disgrace. That's why I'm calling him, former senator. This morning I heard his lapdog, Marvin Cole, talking about, put my land up from Nefola to Paila. We got work to do. People got work to do. People got to feed their families. You are set on all the county development fund money. You have not opened up opportunities. What Bobby is celebrating? I hear him talking about closing down Phoebe. I mean, you got this guy jumping around like a grasshopper from one institution to the next. He go and suck the one dry. He suck the other one dry. He jumped to the other place when they refused to give him money. Then he gets on the air and starts launching a 419 corruption war. 419 corruption war. 419 corruption war. Running. Even people that digging gold, they gotta give him money. Yeah, but what kind of man is this? This guy is becoming a menace, a real threat. He's the new Army One. Okay? In Bon County, he's the new Army One. And so I'm challenging his boss man, Henry Yala, to a debate. A debate on his record. And I'm coming to that debate with box full of evidence. I'll come with 700 pieces of evidence. Evidence of his theft, evidence of his connection to poor leadership, evidence of his ineptitude, evidence of his greed. He is accusing other people of, I think God inspired confession, because I learned today through Marvin Cole that Yala and Mwe and all of them are in a witchcraft, the inner witchcraft club. The inner witchcraft club. One person not talking. Okay? One person not talking. The real English. Because I was suffering. I was suffering. Every district, the people suffering. But we got gold here. We got diamond here. We got forest here. So the wish where they in, this election now made the secret come out. And once exposed, God will redeem us. So I'll pause there and take questions from the press and then wrap this thing up.
Thank you very much. It's been a rumor that you are being supported by the current Vice President Joel Howard Taylor, as evident by your luxurious campaign, and you've outsourced or outspent the incumbent and the deputy speaker. Can you address that Joel Howard Taylor is being rolling?
Look, I have thousands of supporters around the world, Bongis included, who are tired with this leadership that can finish one community college. This leadership that can drive to contractors and tell them to force them to give them bribes. Okay? There are educated Bongis outside of this country and inside of this country that are working for the hard-earned money and sending it to me to campaign because they want to see change. They don't want the same old people using their money to gain power again. That's why I was introduced into this race as a third force of the people. My campaign is sponsored by $10 contribution, $5 contribution, and $25 contribution. If Joel Howard Taylor supports me, I don't know. Most Bon County people that are rational support me. very few sensible bungies that are not benefiting from the corruption network as, you know, paid callers also support this failed structure. People want change. Most bungies want change. They want someone to stand up to these corrupt crooks that are running around here in the name of leadership. Okay? So I am a man of the people. When you're not there, we ride bike. When you're there, we ride car. Everybody know me. I'll drink beer water. I'll spend time with our people. They are the ones jittering. Joel, maybe that Joel, maybe that Joel. Have they ever stopped to think that maybe they made people vex? Maybe the people who armed were twisting and moving them from their jobs. Maybe that didn't want to send me $20 contribution, $200 contribution. Maybe the people who hate the fact that this county is being left behind are getting angry. But you know what? These guys don't respect the people. That's why in their mind it has to be Joel Howard Taylor supporting me. The people are supporting me. And if Vice President Joel Howard Taylor were to support me, it would be a demonstration of her love for this county. It would be a demonstration of her love for this county. It would be a demonstration of respect for the people's choice. And I think she should be free to do that. Because this is her county. She understands the political terrain and the history of the county better. And as I've said, I'm encouraging her to support me. I'm encouraging her to find the courage to openly support me, to look beyond party. The last time I listened to her on True FM, and she spoke properly and said beyond party. Because mind you, George Weah and the CDC endorsed a candidate that's not from the coalition in Nimba. They selected Jeremiah Kun, who is not a card-carrying member of any of the CDC constituent parties. The CDC in the context of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I listened to Babu, a very brave and revolutionary Secretary General of the Bone County MPP chapter, giving supportive statement, declaring the party support for me in this county. The men are rising up. Bone County is going to see change this year. And they're worried about Joel. They should be worried about the people. The people, you know, maybe if Joel supports me, maybe she would just move her support about it. People support me, this victory will be huge. And some people who George Weah has signed blank check for, some people who are living as leeches on the CDC government, giving George Weah fake hope that you can disrespect Joel Howard Taylor and still have base in Bone County. That you can talk down the road that Charles Taylor played in getting you elected, that you ignore the man. One letter from George Weah, just inquiring as to the health of a Liberian citizen. Do you know ordinary black money boys that are in jail in Asia and other places? The government of Liberia can make representation on their behalf. But you have a former president that is in jail in a country where coronavirus is raging. And you call yourself a president for all Liberians, and you sit here, common letter you can't even write to pressure the international community to give you a full reporting on the health and well-being of Charles Kange Taylor. You call yourself a leader of everybody. The pepper bird is in your emblem. The CDC needs to remember the people that got them where they are. So they worry about Joel. Joel is not the problem. The problem is unfulfilled promises, disrespect for people who elected you, people who help you get to where you are. That's it.
Now, Mr. Dumoe, you are speaking as if to say the House of the National Legislature has total control over the foreign policy, and Pepper Research, the executive, has total control. Now, you are opting to become Bonk's next senator. How will you go about with your message that you want to free Taylor? Because I mean that's quite a large within the executive branch. Because the House, the National Legislature does not have control over the foreign policy.
No one branch under the Liberian system controls any aspect of anything, even lawmaking. The executive makes some laws. There's something called executive orders. All three branches of government have some aspect of the other within its domain. The constitutional provision that gives power to the president to lead on foreign policy states very clearly in concert with the legislature. The president cannot conclude any treaty without legislative approbation. You know that? You know that, right? Okay. Number two, under the current structure of West Africa, we have something called the West African Parliament. In the exchanges at the West African Parliament, foreign policy is being affected by legislators. There are legislators that are flying out of this country every month and attending the Pan-African Parliament meetings. They're attending the West African Parliament. The West African Parliament lends support to the authority or heads of states. So I don't think your research was done fully. So I'm further injecting some things in there. When I'm senator, I'm going to campaign very vigorously. If you're not able to do political analysis to determine that Charles Taylor has one of the largest, he has a lot of people in the house who were scared. People had been living in slavery in Egypt for 500 years. They thought things were around Egypt until Moses said, "What are we doing here? Let's get them go." One person got to wake up and say, "Let's move." And I am that person. When I wake up, the re-emergence of the Charles Taylor political constituency in this country will be a monumental shifter of Liberian political affairs. Just watch it. Punk County is first. We'll make sure that pro-Taylor candidates win up and down this country. Up and down. We're retaking this country and we're positioning it on the National Patriotic Party's agenda. We are retaking this country and we're positioning it under patriotism. Not this ridiculous system that gave our gold to a Turkish company that they arrest Liberians for mining in Liberia. They say you're encroaching on concession. The Turkish man get right to your gold. We say that the only thing we get out of dust, that development there, and they say they'll give a job. What are these jobs? Look at it. Look at the conditions people living in the district, Kokoya district, where our former Senator Yala is from. Because I'm going to defeat him massively on the 8th of December.
Menipakei, my name is Alex Mufada. I work for Radio Bank. With all the rigmarole in the county, quote unquote, hindering the smooth operation of some of the institutions, ranging from the Bon County Technical College, Phoebe Hospital, among other institutions. When elected, what do you bring to the table to seize some of the tension in the county, especially so that we make, the operation of these institutions very proactive, out of, the political manipulation in the county?
First thing, I think politicians need to pack their bags and leave these institutions alone. You want to talk politics? Talk it to the Capitol building. Fight for more allotment for Bon County. Leave administration to the administrators. If somebody's stealing money, GAC can have regular audits. You know how I know Yala is involved in stealing money? That because of GAC audits. You know how I know that when Prince Moe...
Has he been indicted?
No, 1 second, Chief. I say, I'm challenging the man to the debate. Let him say come for the evidence. I will confront him. When you know how I know that Prince Moe is connected to the disappearing of $580,000 from Cottington University, the poor students that are on that campus who cannot access, basic services, $500,000 of their money in Prince Moe's pocket, and he's running around here with it without conscience. And I know that through audits. I'm going to medicine man to show me who's stealing. They got auditors. So if Marvin goes say people are stealing at Phoebe, hey, hold your horses. Let the auditors come in, let the GAC, through their periodic audits, discover this. Don't jump around and blackmail people around the corridor. It's unacceptable.
Now, what do you bring to the table when you are elected?
When I'm elected, I'm going to campaign for a review of the County Development Act. The laws around how county development funds are managed. I want to review the relationship between Phoebe and the government of Liberia to ensure that elected representatives are removed from all those boards. We need to get out of the administrative aspect. We need to, you see, when you involve in the institution, you can provide a very cardinal function we call oversight. How do you be over something you in? Get out of it so you can what? Review it. Now why you not going to put your money in small children plow? Because then who to break case to? And that's why Dr. Toba is an absolute disappointment. He's going and taking Mwesa, Yalasa. Both sides wasting our time. We're going to stand on the side of common sense. We're going to stand on the side of stability. This county cannot go ahead with Menipakei Dumoe. There are good men in the legislature, but the current ideas that are influencing them are poor. I will take better ones forward. We'll mobilize, and the same people won't get there, will turn it into good. Because my victory this year will be resounding. It will make everybody listen to it.